Howdy guys, Kirk here with Kirk Plaster. Today we're going to color code this entire house. The front is really cut up, but I'll show you that at the very end of the video. But I want to show you why we're doing it. You can see this gable wall here. This is a nice finish. It's a 2030 originally, done maybe 40 years ago. Color code started at about 1926. But they installed new windows maybe 10 years ago, I'm not certain, maybe 15. But you see this patch around here. It's pretty obvious eyesore. Well, he don't like it, and right around here you can see here's the finish they have, and then here's the bad texture around every window. When you paint it, it enhances it. Here we got an addition. Now this particular finish here is completely different from here. This is done with a 2030, this is done with a Santa Barbara. What we're going to do is uniform out this wall. We're going to put fiber mesh tape over these cracks. I have no idea what they did when they did this addition. However, we're going to caulk it, fiber mesh tape. I'll go around here too to show you a couple little things. Watch the piece of wood here. Alright, this window here looks like it was done by somebody else. This is just a float finish. You see this float finish here and then this finish. But when you paint it, it enhances any flaws. So quite a bit of flaws right here. It's far from the right match. And every window on the house is similar. Here they just put some styrofoam molds on it. And the same applies to these windows here. You can see it's a bad finish. Now what we've already done is we've pressure washed the house, and this blue stuff, that's the bonding agent I prefer. It's called Weld-Crete. And what we're doing is, we got another gable wall here. The same applies. The windows are somewhat of a bit of an eyesore. And the fella says, well, can you match this house here? Well, of course I said, I think so, because we did that 10 years ago. I said, isn't he the fella who referred me? And the fella at the end of the street actually referred me, but I said, yeah, we did that one too. So that's the finish we're going to match right there. It's skip trowel finish. We're going to go ahead and uniform this entire house out. So that way when they're having a barbecue, they look and nobody's saying, hey, what happened with all these new windows? Okay guys, I'm going to show you again. Hold on a second. Over here. Alright, I'm going to show you how my buddy tell me, oh, Fred Smith. Start from the bottom, go all the way up, all the way down. There's a lot of time when you do this. You start from the bottom, come up, and then you go over your own joint halfway. Come up, and you just keep doing it all the way up. Generally, if you're doing just little tiny bits right here, little tiny bits like that, it'll take forever to do a job. What I'll do is I'll start from the bottom, go all the way up, all the way down. And when I'm coming down on it, like I said, I'll go halfway between here and the existing wall. Halfway up, halfway back down. That's the proper way to spread a color code. All the way up, all the way down. Start from your feet, all the way up, come all the way down. Now we're going with a heavy float finish over this skip trowel finish. And you can't spread like some finishes, Santa Barbara or 2030. You can come here and come all the way up about 5 feet. The heavier the grit, the less of a spread you got. Say, for example, here, I'm going to come up. I'm going to come down on it. And also, I'll just show you how I do the tops of these windows too. What I'll do is, I'll just start here, and I'll bring it down a little bit. I'll bring it down a little bit. This way, I have something to bring my joints to. But now, when I'm coming, say, to the bottom, coming up, like that. One last thing. The camera, I know won't show this, but we're going over a skip trowel finish, and we're using a heavy sand. So, there's holidays everywhere, because I don't care how good you are. You're not going to get rid of the holidays when you're going over a skip. So you have to float everything. So what we do is we just, same thing like spreading. You go all the way up, all the way down over your joint. You come up and down on your joint. And this way gets rid of all the holidays. Again, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're going over a skip trowel finish, you are going to find some holidays. And later when this dries, then I'm going to go ahead and apply a texture over everything. But the texture I'm trying to get is of that one, and the wall has got to dry completely first. If I put the texture over this wet, it's a different finish than what we want to achieve. Okay guys, we're in the hot sun on this gable, which is good. It takes a little bit more skill if you're working in the hot sun because we're getting joint already. As soon as we applied this, you can see it's starting to dry right here. And here's our addition line. You can't see it anymore, especially when I put a texture on it. You're not going to see it. I'm floating, and again, as I said earlier about going from top to bottom, we go from top to bottom, but see that joint right there? I'm going to feather that in quick because that joint there has sat about 15 minutes. Now we're in the hot sun and the skip trowel is very forgiving, so what I'm just going to do is get this joint out the way. This joint is sat for good. Oh, let's say 15, 20 minutes. Okay, now that that joint's out, I'm going to take the float, then back up on this bucket, float that guy in right there. And we always, what we want to do is, we want to drag the new into the existing. That way there's no joint. If I was to take the existing and pull down, and this float is wet, then you see a joint line when everything dries. You see the float pattern. So, on what I was saying earlier, we want to start from the bottom, and with this particular mud, there's as much as I can spread with one hot plate. So, do it 2 times. You can come down on it. We start from the bottom, come up, halfway on the skip trowel. Hit it once more. One more time. Start from the bottom. And notice I'm going over my existing 6 inches. I'm going to come back down 6 inches. And we just keep repeating this cycle. Long strokes. Short strokes are spinning your wheel. Alright guys, we have the scaffold on the other side. Jay spread that out. Dan is actually filming me. It's a lot easier just to use a ladder than wait for this to set and hold up the whole job. This particular finish, because the wall is drying, and you say, well, how do you know that wall is drying? It's lightening up. This is Fallbrook, and it's lightening up. See that one little area right there? It's turning white. So the finish that I'm putting on here, it's light lace. Spanish, you can call it skip trowel light lace. But if you do it just right over a dry wall, it almost looks like a dash finish. Looks like a color dash, and as you do it, draw it down. What I like to do is stagger my joint. We just bring it into the window, bring it out from the window. Doesn't really matter because this wall is drying. And if I were to put this on while the wall is wet, it would be a completely different texture. But this is what they want. Everybody wants a different texture. We could do it like Taco Bell. We can do whatever texture anybody wants. It's all pretty easy once you got the system down. I'll show you one more time. Move this ladder towards me a little bit. Scoop it out, a little bit out of the bucket here. And sometimes we use a board and stand. But when I'm on a ladder, obviously, I can't use the board and stand. Okay, we're going to get from the top. And again, there's about 50 different finishes I could do. This particular one matches the one right next door. This is what we did over there. We floated it, and then we gave it a skip trowel. And again, we floated it because we originally went over a texture finish. If we're going over a brown coat, say we're doing a scratch and a brown, and we let that set, well then we don't need to float it. We only need to float it when the walls are impure and they got texture on. We got to float those textures out and get rid of the holidays. If this was a brown coat, wouldn't be necessary. So I'm going to keep moving over, then I'm going to drop down. Alright guys, for the sake of explanation, generally I'll start from the bottom down and I'll work my joint into this joint. What you want to do, whether or not you're spreading the base or the texture, is don't go over your finish. Because I'll give you an example. Okay, here's my texture. It's all jagged and I want it that way. So my next one is going to come up into it, and I'm going to stop right where I left off. I'm not going to double texture things, because when it dries, if I double texture, meaning double texture, what the heck is that? That's if I put my texture over an area I already textured, then it's going to be a different color, it's going to be a different thickness, it's going to show like a sore thumb. So what I'm doing is I'm getting that joint right there. Okay, now my joint's done. I already started here. Now I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up to this, and I'm not going to double texture. Same applies if you're doing your base coat. And I've had a fella, back when I was union, we'd bring it down to here and he'd say, don't feather into it, go 6 inches above. And I was working for this fella, so we had to do that nonsense. The next day, this had 2 coats, and you can see the 2 coats because it was twice as dark, one line, and we just kind of looked at him. I try to tell you, man, you can't do that. Anyhow, the same applies with the texture. Take our texture into the new one. We're going to go on the other side where the wall is completely dry, and this is going to look like a different color. And I'll show you a little bit more what I'm talking about. Okay, guys, I figure I'll do my last one over here. This wall's half dry, half wet. Get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. See, I did my texture over here, and the body is drying faster. And this is Fallbrook, the color. When it's wet, that's what it looks like. This is in the sun, so that's drying. Okay, here's where we had our joint from addition to the existing house. Now that joint right there is already feathered in pretty nice. However, one is just a hair raised, so what I do is I'll take that texture sideways. I take it sideways right here. That way you won't ever see this joint right here, and you just knock it down. For the sake of showing you once more how to texture, I've already went ahead and did this top. I usually start from the bottom and I'll bring it up, but because this wall is so much drier now, and this will all blend in the same color, this will give you an idea of how to feather it in. Okay, a lot easier to see what's going on when a wall is a different color. This is a cardinal sin what I'm doing here as far as putting texture on twice. Now I have another joint down here, and each time I do this I'll have a joint, but I've been doing this forever, so I'm not worried about the joint. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead now, start from the bottom and continue my merry way all the way down here. We'll show you completely when we're done, because we got to cut up front and we're going to take lunch right now, so when we're completely done with it, we'll show you the final results. Dan on the camera, he's pointing at a good question. So I better throw that in there. He said, Dan, how come you're putting it on a dry wall? Did you say always to put it on a wet wall? That is true. But when you're putting it on a dry wall here, the mechanical bond, you got to be on it. Like I'll show you. On a dry wall here, for example. Okay, this is a dry wall. It's sucking out all the moisture on here. Now I'm troweling it down hard. I'm troweling it down hard because we want our mechanical bond the same as if we put it on a wet surface. It's better. Also, Dan says, well, how do you know all this stuff? I learned by failing. A lot of people showed me this when I was union 30 years ago, and you continue learning. I learned a lot of this stuff. Like my boy Napoleon says, Napoleon Hill, for every adversity comes with it the seed of equivalent benefit, meaning, yeah, I screwed something up and I had to go back and fix it on my own time, my own money. Then that's how you really learn. All these tips I show you guys, these are mistakes that I've made in the past, 30 years, 20 years ago, and even lately. You can still make mistakes. So. Good tip, Dan. Mold work takes a little more skill. all the details. Can't have any holidays. Okay guys, we're all complete now. This is somewhat pretty and impressive, but what I want to show you is the addition and the bad window patches, how they're tied in real well. Okay, he put a styrofoam mold here. And what we did on these molds right here is we just basically did a float finish, and here is a skip trowel because that's what they want. Alright, over here on this wall, notice, or you can't notice all the bad patchwork. This texture is pretty forgiving, very, very forgiving, but we addressed that issue even with the first finish. Can't see it here. Can't see where that addition starts and ends either. And if you could, they'd be yelling at me, because I told them I could get rid of it. And lastly, we'll just show you this little bit here, all the new windows here, and all the windows placed around here. You can't see them, and you're not supposed to. If you could, I wouldn't be doing my job. Anyhow, folks, as usual, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.